You're welcome to today's political analysis. This is not noise. This is not rumor. This is real Nigerian politics. If you believe Nigeria must come first, if you care about 2027, and if you want clear facts without sugarcoating, you are in the right place. Please subscribe. Turn on your notifications, because what you're about to hear will shape the next election. Now listen carefully. Atiku Abubakar has finally responded. And his message is clear, strong, and final. Atiku did not whisper. He did not beg. He did not explain too much. He spoke with authority. At a time when many expected silence, Atiku Abubakar chose clarity. His words were not rushed, but they were firm. He made it clear that he is not under pressure, not confused, and not backing down. In one statement, he shut down weeks of speculation and political guessing. He said he will contest. He said everyone is free to come out. And whoever wins will carry the ADC flag for 2027. That message alone changed the tone of the conversation. This was not a soft reply. This was not a political dodge. It was a direct response to those who believed the decision had already been made behind closed doors. No special treatment. No hidden deal. No sacrifice candidate. Atiku made it known that the African Democratic Congress is not owned by one person or one camp. According to him, the party is a platform, not a throne. Anyone who wants the ticket must earn it through the process. No shortcuts. No entitlement. This was his answer to Nasir El-Rufai. This was also his answer to Peter Obi supporters. For weeks, pressure had been building. Statements were made. Suggestions were pushed. Some voices said Atiku should step aside in the name of unity. Others framed it as strategy. But Atiku rejected all of that framing. The message was simple. Nobody owns the ticket. Nobody is bigger than democracy. That sentence alone speaks volumes. It tells us how Atiku sees the moment. He is not looking at 2027 as a handover. He is looking at it as a contest. In his view, democracy only works when people are allowed to compete freely. Atiku did not deny the challenges facing the opposition. He did not pretend that Nigeria is fine. In fact, he went straight to the core issue. He said the real fight is not among opposition figures. The real fight is against the current government. Atiku made it clear. This fight is not about ego. He said the goal is to rescue Nigeria. Those words were deliberate. Rescue. Not reform. Not adjust. Rescue. That choice of language shows how serious he believes the situation has become. In his view, Nigeria is in distress, and the opposition must act like people who understand the weight of the moment. He pointed directly at the APC government. He mentioned Bola Tinubu by name. And he did not soften his tone. Atiku believes the country is moving in the wrong direction. He believes policies are failing ordinary Nigerians. He believes leadership has lost touch with reality. And because of that, he sees stepping aside as a betrayal of purpose, not a show of maturity. He said he is not giving up for anybody. Not now. Not later. Not under pressure. That line was not emotional. It was strategic. It sends a message to both allies and rivals. It tells them that Atiku is entering this phase fully aware of the resistance ahead. It also tells them he is prepared to face it. He ended it with 3 words that hit hard. Nigeria first. Those words are not new in Nigerian politics, but the timing matters. At a time when ethnicity, region, and party loyalty dominate the conversation, Atiku chose a national framing. Whether people agree with him or not, the message is clear. He wants to be seen as standing above personal alliances. This statement also changes the internal dynamics of ADC. It signals that the party will likely face a real primary contest. That alone brings both opportunity and risk. Opportunity for credibility. Risk of division. But Atiku appears willing to take that risk. There was no apology in his tone. There was no retreat in his words. There was no sign of uncertainty. Atiku spoke like someone who has made up his mind. He spoke like someone who understands the cost of the path he is choosing. And he spoke knowing that every sentence would be examined, debated, and challenged. What makes this statement important is not just what he said, but when he said it. Nigeria is at a breaking point. The economy is under strain. Public trust is low. Political patience is thin. In such a moment, choosing to contest is not a small decision. By saying everyone should come out and test their strength, Atiku is putting pressure on the system itself. He is saying let the process speak. Let the votes decide. Let democracy do its job. Whether this move strengthens the opposition or complicates it remains to be seen. But one thing is already clear. Silence is no longer an option. The race has started, and Atiku has drawn his line clearly. This was not a rumor. This was not a leak. This was a declaration. Now the focus shifts to the zoning debate, because this is where the pressure truly came from. The call for Atiku to step aside did not appear by accident. It was built on a long-standing political argument that power should rotate between regions to maintain balance in the country. This argument has been repeated so often that many now treat it like law, even though it is not written anywhere in the constitution. Nasir El-Rufai was one of the loudest voices pushing this position. His view was direct. Atiku is from the north. The current president is from the south. Based on zoning logic, he argued that the presidency should remain in the south in 2027. According to that reasoning, Atiku should wait until 2031 and allow a southern candidate, particularly Peter Obi, to run unchallenged. That argument gained support in some circles, especially among those who believe zoning is the only way to keep Nigeria together. It was presented as a sacrifice for unity, not a rejection of Atiku's experience or influence. But Atiku did not accept that framing, and his response shows why. From Atiku's perspective, zoning is a political arrangement, not a command. It is a tool parties may choose to use, not a rule that must be obeyed at all costs. He believes that once zoning becomes an obligation, democracy loses its meaning. In his view, elections are meant to be open, competitive, and decided by voters, not by elite consensus. Atiku's reply also reflects his understanding of political fairness. He has contested several times under different circumstances. Sometimes zoning favored him. Sometimes it worked against him. Yet he argues that the moment candidates are told to step aside before a contest even begins, the system becomes selective and weak. This is why he rejected the idea of waiting. He did not frame his decision as stubbornness. He framed it as principle. He believes that no individual or group has the authority to tell another citizen when it is their turn to seek office. To him, that decision belongs to the people, not power brokers. The mention of Peter Obi adds another layer to the situation. Obi has strong support, especially among younger voters and in the South. Many see him as a symbol of change and discipline. El-Rufai's suggestion that Atiku should step aside was also a way of signaling support for Obi without openly declaring it. That made the issue more sensitive. Atiku's response was careful but firm. He did not attack Peter Obi. He did not dismiss his supporters. Instead, he drew a line around the process itself. His position is that if Peter Obi wants the ticket, he should compete for it. No automatic clearance. No moral pressure. Just a fair contest. This approach sends a message to all aspirants within ADC. It tells them the party may not adopt zoning as a filter. It also tells them popularity on social media or regional support alone will not be enough. Structure, strategy, and votes within the party will matter. At the same time, Atiku is aware of the political cost of this stance. He knows some will see it as ignoring Southern concerns. He knows others will frame it as entitlement. But he appears willing to carry that burden, believing that a forced consensus would do more damage in the long run. There is also a strategic calculation here. By insisting on an open contest, Atiku positions himself as a defender of internal democracy. That narrative matters, especially when the opposition is trying to present itself as a better alternative to the ruling party. It allows him to argue that the change Nigeria needs must start within parties themselves. Another important angle is the timing. The APC is already dealing with internal criticism and public dissatisfaction. Atiku believes the opposition should focus on presenting strong options rather than managing internal fear. For him, avoiding competition out of fear of division is not leadership. His response to El-Rufai also reflects a deeper political disagreement. El-Rufai tends to favor strategic alignment and elite planning. Atiku, in this moment, is favoring open competition and public choice. This difference in approach explains why the exchange has attracted so much attention. What is clear is that the zoning debate is no longer theoretical. It has moved from academic discussion to active political confrontation. Atiku's refusal to step aside has forced every stakeholder to take a position, whether publicly or privately. The pressure has not disappeared. If anything, it has increased. But Atiku's stance suggests he would rather face criticism now than regret silence later. He has chosen a path that prioritizes process over convenience. This development also places responsibility on ADC as a party. It must now decide whether it wants to enforce zoning or test its internal democracy. That choice will shape its credibility going into 2027. In the end, Atiku's response to the zoning argument is not just about 2027. It is about how power is contested in Nigeria. It challenges the idea that political outcomes should be negotiated before voters are allowed to speak. And by doing so, it has reshaped the conversation in a way that cannot be ignored. The final issue now is what all of this means for 2027 and beyond. Atiku's statement was not just a reply to individuals. It was a signal to the entire political space. It confirmed that the opposition race has officially started and that no one should assume an easy path. This development changes the balance within the African Democratic Congress. Until now, many people saw ADC as a potential coalition platform, a place where deals could be made quietly to present a single strong candidate. Atiku's position disrupts that expectation. He is saying clearly that there will be competition, not coronation. For the wider opposition, this creates both energy and tension. On one hand, an open contest can attract attention, credibility, and public interest. Nigerians are tired of imposed candidates. Many want to see real debates, real choices, and real accountability. An open race could give ADC that image. On the other hand, competition also brings risk. It can expose divisions. It can deepen distrust. And if not managed well, it can weaken the party before the general election. Atiku appears aware of this risk, yet his words suggest he believes avoiding competition would be a greater mistake. This stance also affects Peter Obi's political calculations. His supporters must now consider whether to push for negotiation or prepare for a contest. The idea of an automatic path is no longer realistic. If Obi chooses to engage, he will have to test his strength within a party structure, not just in public opinion. El-Rufai's influence is also being tested. By publicly suggesting that Atiku step aside, he placed himself in the middle of the debate. Atiku's refusal means El-Rufai's strategy did not land as expected. It raises questions about how much control or persuasion he truly has within the emerging opposition space. Beyond personalities, the APC government is watching closely. Internal disagreement within the opposition is often an advantage for those in power. However, Atiku's framing attempts to turn competition into strength rather than weakness. He wants to present the opposition as confident enough to compete openly. The phrase "Nigeria first" is important here. It is Atiku's attempt to shift the narrative away from personal ambition and regional loyalty. By using that framing, he is appealing to voters who feel disconnected from elite deals and tired of political calculations that ignore daily hardship. The economic situation adds weight to this moment. Rising costs, public frustration, and declining trust in leadership have created a tense atmosphere. Any opposition figure positioning for 2027 must speak to that reality. Atiku's insistence on staying in the race suggests he believes his experience is needed at this stage. This moment also tests ADC's internal systems. A party that claims to offer an alternative must show fairness, transparency, and discipline. How it handles this emerging contest will determine whether Nigerians take it seriously as a governing option. What happens next will not be quiet. More statements will come. Alliances will shift. Pressure will increase. But Atiku's declaration has removed uncertainty about his position. He is not waiting. He is not negotiating his exit. He is moving forward. For voters, this is a reminder that 2027 is already taking shape. Decisions made now will echo later. The opposition is no longer in planning mode. It is in motion. Whether this path leads to unity or fragmentation will depend on how all sides respond. But one fact is settled. The race is open, the lines are drawn, and Nigerian politics has entered a new and more intense phase.